And we're back. I want to open the phones up specifically on what you think about the move by Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan to announce that the stock market should go down, and to tell their shareholders and to tell people that own different stocks and bonds that they control that they should start dumping them and the dollar. When Trump's saying, believe in America, invest, get involved, I mean, that's how we're going to keep this collapse from taking place. And now you see these open enemies moving against Trump. This should silence everyone that keeps saying he's run by Goldman Sachs when everything he does is the opposite of policies Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan support. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Before I go any further, I want to play the most viewed video in the history of Numbers USA that breaks down the scientific facts of what massive, unbridled, third world immigration does to a wealthy country. And after we come back, I'm going to continue getting into the attempts to just say, even our president has no right to control who comes into this country. Anybody can come here and just basically stay here as long as they are a political tool. Here's the report: World Poverty and Gumballs, Number USA.
Told the World Bank says there are 3 billion people in the world, 3 billion people who are desperately poor, making less than $2 a day. That's 3,000 gumballs. And every year, we take 1 million and suggest that we've somehow made a humanitarian difference. Of course, we don't pull our immigrants from these desperately poor populations, do we? These people are too poor, too sick, too disconnected to make it here as immigrants. We tend to pull our immigrants out of the better off poor of the world. And Mexico tends to define the type of immigrant that we bring here because the plurality of people come from Mexico. And Mexico is poor. How many people in the world live in countries that have average incomes lower than that of Mexico? And the World Bank tells us that that number is these 3 billion plus another 2.6 billion people. 5.6 billion people in the world who live in countries with average incomes below that of Mexico. That's 5,600 gumballs. And so what is it that the elites are telling us? They're telling us that when we take this 1 million immigrants, that we somehow or another are tackling world poverty. And we have to do it regardless of the effect on our unemployed, the working poor, the most vulnerable members of our society, regardless of the effect on our natural resources. Even if we went by the most radical proposals in Washington, which are to actually double our immigration to 2 million a year, which would totally overwhelm our physical, natural, and social infrastructures, we couldn't make a noticeable difference. And we may be really hurting the impoverished people of the world because the million that we do take are among the most energetic, often the better educated, certainly the most dissatisfied people that if they did not immigrate would be the agents for change to improve the lot of all the people in these countries. The true heroes in the global humanitarian field are the people in these countries who have the wherewithal to immigrate to another country, but instead stay in their countries to apply their skills to help their fellow countrymen. Unfortunately, our immigration system tends to entice these very type of people to abandon their countrymen. The impossibility of making even a dent is actually worse than it looks here. Because last year, when we took 1 million immigrants, these countries added, births over deaths, 80 million more people into the impoverished population. And this year, Congress is bringing in 1 million legal immigrants. And this year, according to the United Nations, these countries are expected to add another 80 million people. And next year, you can be quite sure that Congress, unless stopped by the American voters, will bring in another 1 million immigrants. And these countries, unfortunately, will be adding another 80 million people into these impoverished nations. We could take 5 million a year, but we'd never get ahead of what's happening in these countries, not in this century. Don't you see? Immigration can never be an effective or significant way to deal with the suffering people of the world. They have to be helped where they live. 99.9% of them will never be able to immigrate to a rich country. There's no hope for that. They have to bloom where they're planted. The only place that 99.9% of these people can be helped is where they live. Let's help them there.
And let's put their URL back up on screen for folks so they can see that. Go get that video and share it. We'll obviously post this to Infowars.com. We'll post it to YouTube as well so people on our video list can see it as well. NumbersUSA.org. And I've always wanted to get that fellow on. In fact, I'd like to fly him here with his gumballs to do his presentation because you cannot argue with those facts. And let me break something down. The Royal Commission on Population in 1949 said the third world is going to overpopulate for their resources, and we could go in and industrialize them very quickly, but then they would be competitors to the West and our colonialism. So instead, we're just going to encourage their overpopulation and then use that to basically exploit those populations and only have certain development zones within the countries so they don't actually get the industry for themselves. They don't get the first world status, but we exploit them and then come and dominate the West and consolidate control here. Now, I learned about the Royal Commission whenever I was given, like 18 years ago, by Lyndon LaRouche acolyte, one of their quarterly intelligence reports. But back then, the internet wasn't very accurate or wasn't very detailed. There wasn't a lot of stuff you could find on it. I went to the UT library, and I actually had them pull out of the stacks a synopsis in a UT review from the 50s of the World Population Forum and the commission on it that had been established by His Royal Highness in England in 1949, Queen Elizabeth II's father. And it wasn't the whole report, but it was many pages of it and footnotes admitting just what Lyndon LaRouche had said, who, by the way, was in OSS and then CIA, obviously, and a lot of other things. Ronald Reagan would meet with him weekly. He'd fly up by helicopter to meet with him at the White House. That was before Reagan got shot, but Reagan was reading his stuff and was impressed with him. And again, they get really worried about presidents that listen to people that understand what's going on. You can say what you want about the LaRouche group. I don't agree with their policies, how they want to fix things. It's very socialist, but at least it's infrastructure-based and human-based. So it's a real liberal system that is really honorable and very respectable. I'm not part of that group. I'm just telling you that what they propose is very real. Okay, and he's been a guest on many times. He's like 92 years old now, and we haven't been able to get him on lately for obvious reasons, but he was still totally there about 2 years ago when I last interviewed him. Truly amazing. They were Quakers, so he wouldn't go into combat, wouldn't have a gun, but instead they put him in all sorts of really dangerous situations all over India and China during World War II. That guy saw a lot. And SDI was his idea, so much more. But I don't want to go off on a jag about Lyndon LaRouche. I want to go to your phone calls after this clip I'm going to play. It's just that people say, oh, we're not overpopulated. Everybody in the world can live in Texas. Yeah, but they couldn't live with a life. And I don't agree with the globalists wanting to forcibly depopulate or sterilize people. The point is they let it bloom. Now they're acting like they're going to do something with sterilants and vaccines. We're overpopulated for the technology we have. If we innovate, and if we did things with like new energy systems, many of the statistics and research papers show we could actually really, really produce an even larger population. But here's the truth. The population is going to peak at 9 billion in the next 15 years. It's going to start declining and then start collapsing because if you don't have 2.1 children for every 2 adults, civilization begins to unravel. They believe robotics and stuff is going to keep that from happening, but they're really using robotics just to get rid of humans altogether. So a very nasty world's being built, and if they would have industrialized Latin America, Africa, and other countries, and not just, and I know Africa is a continent, and other regions, then people would have had 2 children on average or even less, and you wouldn't have this issue, and there wouldn't be needs for advancing technology. But now we're sitting on top of a gigantic $6+ billion time bomb. Understand that Mexico is on the high end of wealthy, poor countries. Everybody wants to get to Mexico. You go to some areas of Mexico, it looks sewage down the street, people that are starving, corrupt police. It's scary. But there's some highly cultured areas and great art and great literature and great movies. And Mexico's got what it takes. They've just never gotten out from under colonialism. With some of the best food, best movies, best music, best art, architecture. Mexico's got everything it needs. Resources too, but never got under from El Jefes that want to keep people poor to control them. It's called serfdom. It's called feudalism. And that's what the globalists have established worldwide. And they want it here in America and in Europe now. And they're trying to bankrupt Trump's plan to reboot the West and the Renaissance and then empower the third world and make deals everywhere. You can't have a one-sided deal that helps the third world because it doesn't even help them. It helps the globalists use the one-sided deal to play monopoly in the West and consolidate control. We've been part of an economic war, folks, not an economy. We've been paying for it. It's been at our expense to build the world government for the New World Order. And Stephen Bannon writes white papers explaining that. That's why they want Bannon out of there. They're horrified of Bannon. He gets the whole thing. Bannon used to be a big liberal, big union guy, but he really wanted to help people. That's what they're doing right now, trying to get loans to small businesses. People ought to be kissing the feet of Trump. If you're a black American, you ought to be kissing his feet. If you're a white American, you should be kissing his feet. Because let me tell you something. These people are really committed. Just look at the look on Bannon's face right there. That's a guy on a suicide mission. He looks satisfied. He looks focused. He knows what he's doing. He knows the show. He doesn't have that normal narcissistic nutball look in his eyes. But forget how he looks. But doesn't he look like a nice guy, a smart guy? Look at his actions. And it's the same thing across the board, except when you get to the Republicans he brought in. Now, I promised to get to this, so I'm going to play it, and then we'll get to your calls to Ken and Kimberly and Judy and Chris and Donald. But here's just part of this Mark Dice video, the craziest social justice warriors on earth. Because it's important to look at how dumbed down the people are we're facing. And it's not something we celebrate and make fun of. This is to show what they've done to these people. Here it is.
The Confederate flags are coming down to end the era of racism, and it's time to implement a new American flag for the new America. And so we've just getting some signatures here. Print, birth date, and a signature. The old stars and stripes represent the old world, the imperialistic America, and this petition's going to implement a new American flag, banning the current American flag. Thank you for supporting that. And another signature there. What we were thinking is maybe like a pyramid or something to represent the new world order and the new America. And so just to replace, the petition is to replace the current American flag. It's a new flag for the new world order, wouldn't you agree? It's time for that. Appreciate your support. Thank you. And part of ending the discrimination against the transgender people in the bathrooms is we're going to be installing some urinals into the women's bathrooms to accommodate the trans women who still have a penis so that they don't feel like they're not welcome there anymore. So makes sense. Just
I think everyone should just use the same bathrooms.
Well, that might be the next step, but this petition will birthday and a signature. This petition, like I said, will start installing urinals into the women's bathrooms to help accommodate the trans or the gender non-binary or gender non-conforming and gender fluid people as well. So thanks for supporting that.
Cool, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
just trying to stop Donald Trump any way we can. So by getting the illegal aliens, yeah,
Oh, I'm supposed to print?
Okay, you can print there then, I guess. Just trying to get the illegal aliens allowed to vote this election to stop Donald Trump. So we figure desperate times call for desperate measures. Thank you for supporting that. The white privilege tax, just a small 1% on the Caucasians to help fund programs in the minority community. We're gonna take that silver spoon out of the white people's mouths. We're gonna put it back into yours.
Appreciate it, man.
You guys deserve that.
Aren't you white, dude?
Yeah, but you know what? I have enjoyed the white privilege myself, so I'm trying to give back to the African-American community with the white privilege tax.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
You signed the petition to put Obama on Mount Rushmore? Trying to darken it up a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a bunch of old white men up there, so I think he probably deserves a place in history up there, one of the greatest presidents ever. You support Obama in repealing the Bill of Rights?
Yeah, sure.
Just a name and a signature. We're doing everything we can to help Obama modernize the Bill of Rights in today's new world order, today's society. So we're helping to support him repealing the Bill of Rights. Birth date, please, to repeal the Bill of Rights. I don't think we really need those, and a signature to repeal the Bill of Rights as well. You just helped us repeal the Bill of Rights. Thanks, bro. Microwaves have kind of replaced them. It's the old microwave. But if you want a pressure cooker, just submit to a background check first, and that way we can be sure to be safe.
So a lot of restaurants use them for roasting meats, but that's the only thing I have.
You're listening to Alex Jones.
InfoWars has more than 15 YouTube channels and about 3 million subscribers. Our main channel has 1.854 or 1,854,000 plus subscribers. Now, they've been gaming the system for a long time to shut down nationalistic or patriotic media, saying we're right-wingers, saying we're extremists. Well, it doesn't matter who we are. We have a right to free speech, don't we? As long as we don't violate the rules. Well, now Zuckerberg has come out and said he's going to restrict conservative news like Communist China does, calling it fake news. And Google, that owns YouTube, has announced, and they've done it now 2 weeks ago, that they're going to basically make you click the bell in your notifications. We're going to show you how to do that, or you won't get all the channels that you've subscribed to, and you won't get the videos. Now, why are they doing this? It's more than just censoring. They want you to see the videos that they feed you below and beside the videos you're looking at that are corporately sponsored so they make more money. They're taking the you out of YouTube. So we're in this information war, and it's more important than ever that you promote the videos, that you like the videos, and that you send them on to others. Because the answer to the attempt to shut us down and restrict free speech that's openly now happening is for us to redouble our efforts. We're winning the culture war as true classical liberals that made this country great. We're restoring the Renaissance. So again, if you want to get our videos, so you can make your decision whether you want to see them or not. After all, that's why you subscribed. YouTube's had this since they started 12 years ago or whatever it was. And they're fundamentally changing it so you don't get it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is promoting fake news and trash news and establishment news. It's killing real independent news. But we the people, by taking action, can break the back of this system. So please, click on the bell so you get the notifications and so you get in your feed the videos and channels you've subscribed to. I'm Alex Jones for Infowars.com.